Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, subject to where you are in the world. It's not quite 4 o'clock, so I'm here a little bit early just because of YouTube streaming. Sometimes take a second or two to get ready. So we'll just start at 4 o'clock. But for you eager beavers, here a couple of minutes early, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll start just in a couple of seconds' time. So good afternoon, good morning, subject to where you were in the world. Thank you very much for coming. My name's Lindsay and I am from Social Bee, and I'm delighted that you've taken the time to join us today. Please let me know that you're here. Please let me know where you're from. I know there's a couple of people that I recognise joining today. Steve, Jonathan. Jonathan is from Charlotte in the US. Lovely to see you. And hi, Steve. Thank you very much for joining. So what are we going to be covering this afternoon? Well, ironically, we're going to be covering going live on social media. And it'd be really interesting to know how many of you have been live on social media already. Some of you may have dabbled in it. Some of you may have not. So let me know if you have or not in the chat. Would love to see if you've been live yet or not. And also, if you have any questions today, please put them in the chat. More than happy to answer them. But I have got a great list of hints and tips to share with you this afternoon or this morning, subject to where you are. And I hope by the end of today's chat, you will have the confidence and some insight to go away. So first of all, live streaming. What is it? Well, first of all, you are on it. So I am currently live streaming from YouTube, which means this is not a recorded webinar. This is actually live on your mobile phone or your laptop. Now, live streaming can be done on a number of channels. So I want to talk to you this afternoon and share with you some hints and tips on a few different channels. So in terms of the why, because you're probably thinking, why should I go live? What channels can I go on live? And being brave enough to do it, because we're all frightened, me included. When I first did it, it was really frightening. So some people have done live things. Jonathan from Etology has tried it on Twitter or Periscope, as it were. But I'd love to see anyone else if you've been doing live or not. Or you may have had, you may have tried it and had some hiccups. So first of all, why live streaming? Well, I shared them in my little preempt video that you may have seen online or on our video. But by the end of 2020, live streaming is expected to account for 82% of internet traffic. That is huge. And also, 80% of people would much rather watch a live video from a brand than read a blog. Who'd have known that? And interestingly, given that coronavirus is here, more people are turning to live more than ever. And I really think that's because we're missing people. We can go out and exercise now in the UK, but we're still missing those people online. So we're now having more Zoom calls, and we want to see the whites of people's eyes. Before this webinar and before this live stream today, I had a call with one of my colleagues, and I actually missed not seeing him on my screen. Now, I'm so used to it now. We're used to that human side of things. But why is live now really taken a leap? And why do people want to see live streaming rather than something you can record? Well, people really want to see the rawness of you and your brand, and they also want to see the authenticity of you. There's lots of, you can create lots of great video content, whatever type of editing software you have. So you can create lots of pre-prepared stuff, and that's great. But people do think it's authentic, I think. I'll be interested to know what you guys think. But it gives you that real live and authentic feel to things, so they can actually engage with you. So it's like them actually having a chat, but actually having a bigger chat than watching, a live webinar. It's more a chat focus. So it's really focused around raw, authentic footage, and also behind the scenes. People love to see if you're at, and I know there's a few people here that are actually from, the traditional events sector, and people would love to see behind the scenes, see what actually goes on under the engine. So there's a number of reasons why live is really important. And also, second to that, if any of you are on social media channels already, you will have noticed that when someone goes live, it pops up in your notifications. So if someone goes live on LinkedIn, it pops up on my phone. Hey, you've got a picture of my dog in a tutu. I don't dress her up that often. So it pops up. So it's really important that it's a fantastic tool for you to use as your organization or as your personal brand, but it doesn't need to be scary. And these are the things I want to share with you this afternoon. So I'm going to share with you some tips this afternoon. If any of you have your own tips as well, please do share them in the chat. It's not about me just sharing hints and tips this afternoon. It's very much about you guys as well. So first of all, why is live streaming useful? Well, first of all, as I've touched, people want to see the raw and this. It can be a how-to. So if you are a cake maker, it could be showing people how to make a cake and then, asking you questions. It could be you talking. So it could be how-to. It could be expertise. So expertise, if you are a hairdresser or a hair color brand, it could be, things that are trendy right now. It could also be guest speakers. So it doesn't just have to be me. You could actually, there's some clever tech out there where you can have two people having a conversation. And again, that by not being recorded, people can ask you questions, which gets, live streaming really going. And also just that rawness. I cannot stress the rawness of bringing it to life as much as possible, even more so that people can't go places. So I'm going to try and share this with you in a simplistic way this afternoon by just going through stages by stages. So I've shared with you the why and the wheres and the impact it can have. I now want to just move on to the channels themselves. So Jonathan from Metrology is to share with you some hints and tips on doing some live streaming on social media. So channels that you can do live streaming on. You can go live on YouTube very easily. Literally, you just click go, or you can schedule it. You can go live streaming on Instagram. You can go live streaming on Facebook. You can do live streaming on Twitter via Periscope. You can also do live streaming via LinkedIn, but there's a caveat on LinkedIn first. So that links me into thinking about what channel you should be going live on. First of all, don't go live on all channels because you need quite a lot of tech involved, and that's an awful lot of problems to potentially be setting yourself up with. So in terms of channels you might think to go live on a channel where the largest majority of your audience is. So I've not picked Instagram for now. Josh, one of my wonderful colleagues, he does live streaming on Instagram because he has a large following on there and a large amount of his audience are on there in the evenings, where YouTube is more my bag, YouTube and LinkedIn. So if you want to do LinkedIn, if your largest audience is on LinkedIn, you are going to have to apply. And the criteria for applying with LinkedIn is they want to see some live streaming. So you're going to have to live stream on some other channels before they before they open the gates for you, basically. So in terms of channels, pick the channel where the majority of your audience is. Secondly, decide when to do your live stream. And don't think, well, I've got some time at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Pick the channel at the time when the largest majority of your audience is online. So use your Google Analytics, have a look at your channel insights, and also look at when your best open rate is on your emails, and pick that time. Bear in mind that the nice thing about live streaming is it doesn't matter where you are in the world. So I would always say, if you're trying to go global, rotate in between 10 a.m. in the morning, because that will cover a large percentage of Europe and some of Australia, or go live later in the afternoon. So we're choosing to go later in the afternoon today because it means we can catch the UK, Europe, and some of the US as well. So pick your timings, not when's convenient for you, when is convenient for your team. So that's the first dibs in terms of preparing up front. I've got some other hints and tips to share with you, but I've just got a comment from Jonathan. It takes confidence, but people don't expect perfection. Absolutely, Jonathan. This is the nice thing about live streaming is we're not here for perfection. I was talking to Ed, my wonderful colleague, before today, and I was saying, I'm about to go live streaming. What's the funniest thing that's happened to you? And he's like, my camera fell off my laptop. And he it just proves that some problems happen, but people like to see that. They like to see that no one that live stream is perfect. If they've got this amazing background, if their makeup's all coiffured, it's very filtered, it's very fake. People just want to see you as a normal human being and actually reflect themselves and go, yeah, I could do that. So I'm just trying to give you the confidence to do that today. So we've thought about why live streaming. We've thought about what channels to go on. There's some other hints and tips that I want to share with you to help share with you and get the confidence this afternoon. First of all is practice. I hate going on camera and I hate having my picture taken. So I'm not your prime person to be doing live stream or talking or any of that jazz. But for me to be able to do my work, I have to. I can't hide behind my computer. It just doesn't work. So people want to hear me talk. They want to hear my insights. So for me to practice, the best way to practice is just start doing. But on YouTube, you can go live and you can go live privately. So you can practice just talking to yourself. But the thing with practicing is getting feedback. And I would say watch it yourself, but get feedback from somebody else, because we are all really, really self-critical. I will not watch this live stream back because I'll go, oh, my hair didn't look good, or I blink too much, because I know I blink too much when I'm on live stream. But it's not about that. I'm being critical of me, where if someone else watches it, they're more likely to be critical of actually the content, which is what you want that constructive criticism for. And the thing about live streaming is, you're going to have, however much you practice, you're going to have glitches along the way. So my wonderful colleague Ed had his camera fall off. Steve just shared with us that he was Zooming. He was doing a Zoom presentation last week, and there was a crash. Like this sort of thing, tech is probably going to let you down in some shape or form, and people realize that that's a thing. So my first thing in terms of preparing is beforehand is practice. Second of all is have a purpose. Social media and doing anything online is not about selling. There are so many people trying to hard sell to me, and probably much like you. How many LinkedIn private messages are you getting at the moment going, how would you like to buy our SEO software? Or I can help you with your website. Well, clearly you've not read our website, because we do all of those services. None of us are on social media or online to be sold to. If you give value and think about the value, so think about a way to think about this in terms of your purpose is educate people, entertain, or inspire them. And the best way you can think about doing that is thinking back to some recent conversations you've had with clients or potential clients, thinking about some recent conversations, or also thinking about, if people have phoned you, the questions they've asked, because you will always think that people know more than what they do in terms of your audience. And we've had this. If you follow us on social media or follow us in terms of what we get up to, you'll see we're giving an awful lot of value away at the moment. None of that is hard selling, because people don't want to be sold to. If you give away value, if you give away some hints and tips, people will buy from you. We've had more inquiries and more business in the last couple of months than we have had before we ramped up our content. And for those of you that have been following us for a long time, you will have probably seen that we've really ramped up our content since we've gone down, been locked down, because we want to help people. It's not about selling, it's about providing education, supporting businesses, because business will come. So if you think about doing a live stream to sell, I would say don't do it. If you're thinking about doing a live stream to share some value, to share some insight, to share some education, some how-to, some useful stuff that people are going to genuinely find valuable, then that is the purpose for you to be doing live streaming. Secondly, plan. So have some stuff in your back pocket, because people won't necessarily think about, chatting. They can chat on any of the channels, and you have to engage people. So always have some stats or some questions in your back pocket. So before today's live stream, I asked people some questions, and I've got some questions in case I don't get any on my live stream. But plan it out. Have some stats in your backup pocket. Have some questions. Timing is key, as I've touched on already. And think about what you're going to cover in that 30 minutes. So write up some notes. I've got some notes here to help and support me, because people don't expect you to remember everything off the top of your head, especially when you're trying to be valuable to people. The third P around beforehand is prepare. So equipment is critical. I have a Rode mic here, which you might be able to see. So there's some things you need to prepare beforehand. In terms of how to live stream, I'm doing it on my laptop today, but you can do it on your mobile phone. If you're doing it on your mobile phone, then make sure you have a stand, because you don't want to be here holding it, because it's going to be quite wobbly. So I'd say either get a stand or do it on your laptop. You also need a quiet space. So make sure you've got a quiet background. Make sure the kids and the dogs are shut out quietly, which mine are. They're all quietly in the other room. My light is, I'm not sitting with a window behind me. The window is here. But the light often shines quite brightly through here in the afternoon. So I open it and close it subject to what's going on. And I also have a selfie light just here to make me look like, I'm actually quite healthy at the moment. But if you don't have the budget or time to get a mic or a light, then just make sure you're in a quiet space and use a natural light to reflect. So actually you have a clear, quiet screen. And also make sure that it's all planned ahead. So just making sure that you know how the tech works. So like I said, you can go live on YouTube live privately, so only you can practice. And feel free to practice on YouTube, on Facebook, on your own channels. Have any of you done any sort of personal live streaming at the moment. There's definitely a few people that have done it from what I've seen online. So Facebook, you can do it on your own Facebook page, as in like Lindsay, I could just have a live stream. And actually that was the thing that helped me in confidence. I actually got challenged about a month ago now to do some press ups on LinkedIn. And I was like, this is not the place to be doing this. But I was like, hey, I've got a purpose. I've got to do these setups. And actually I was like, sod this. I'm happy to do live streaming now. So I have only been live streaming a couple of months on Instagram, on YouTube, but actually through having that purpose, it was like people just want to hear or see something with purpose. So it really helps me to be able to do that. So for those of you that have just joined us, thank you. It's really good to see you. We're here sharing some hints and tips on live streaming. If you've missed anything, you can watch this back. And if you're enjoying stuff today, please head over to our website, socialbee.co.uk/newsletter and sign up to our newsletter. We just give away lots of value. So far, we've covered a lot of the things to do beforehand, and I've got one more thing to do beforehand. So one thing to do beforehand is actually promote it. It's a bit like opening a shop. If you're going to open a shop, it's a bit hard at the moment, obviously. If you're going to open a shop or launch a website, you can't expect people to just rock up at your shop or rock up on your website. You need to promote the pants off it. So the way to promote pants off your live streaming is email your database, put it on your social media channels, but don't say, here I'm live streaming at 4 o'clock BST Tuesday afternoon. Tell people why. It's not about, I'm here to sell you something, because I'm not here to sell you anything today. I'm just here to offer you as much value as I can and take any questions. So if any of you have any questions, then please do ask me. So do promote it, but promote the value and promote it a couple of weeks in advance. Promote it the day before and also promote it on the day, because although we're currently stuck in our homes, it's really hard for us to remember things. A good question, got a couple of pages at them, got a good couple of questions. How long should you suggest broadcasting? Very good question. Typically people want to see at least 20 minutes. So 20 minutes, 30 minutes would probably be the attention span that you're going to get from people, unless you're delivering value bomb after value bomb after value bomb. Everyone has an attention span at the moment, and even more so, we're stuck at our screens all day. So I'd say probably 20 minutes to 40 minutes would be where I would suggest. Someone else has asked, Steve has asked, if I have a Facebook page, can I live stream on that? Absolutely, you can, Steve. If you want to practice on your own personal channel, you can, and just say, I'm here practicing, ask me some questions, but you can go live on your Facebook page. And you can also set up, Simon has shared a really good tip, set up a private Facebook group and practice on that. Facebook groups are really good to have live streaming on. So if you want to have a closed live streaming, if you're running courses or anything like that, it can be a closed live stream. It doesn't have to be open like this, where anybody in the world could come and join us right now. So you can have private streaming as well. Good. Okay, so we've covered all of the before. So let's move on to during. But as I've said, if you have any other questions, please do drop them in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer them this afternoon. So during, first of all, just check your tech. So I was getting ready. I went through all of my stuff at about 2 o'clock this afternoon to make sure I was happy with what I was doing. 15 minutes before, I literally turned everything off. So if there was anything going on in the outside world, I wouldn't have a blooming clue about it unless my husband came running through the door and said, the Queen's just knocked on our door, then I would want to know about it. But other than that, just take some brain space, turn everything off and just concentrate for at least 30 to 15 minutes before, getting your mind in the zone of what you're doing. Go over your notes, make sure you're happy, and just enjoy it. Like the first time you go live is, even if you've talked on stage to thousands of people, which I know some of the guys here have, it's really nerve-wracking because you don't know who you're talking to, you don't know who's going to turn up, and it's a bit like, you want people to turn up to this great bit of content that you think in your heart is what you want to be going live of. So it is what it is. Even if you don't have many people turn up, then it doesn't matter. Just to get one under your belt and think, yeah, I cracked this nut. That was really good. So getting the zone 30 to 15 minutes beforehand, just go through your notes once more and then start going live. So I would go live. For those of you who are here early, thank you very much. But for those of you that were here early, I tend to go live 30 seconds to a minute beforehand, because you need to remember that these things, there's more people live streaming, there's more people on your internet bandwidth than ever before. So don't go live at 4, because if people are there waiting, they're probably going to go, it's 1 minute past. Where is she? Where is he? So I would suggest going live 30 seconds before to a minute before, and just tell people, I'm here early, love to turn up to a party early, always here early. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoy it. So first of all, is just sign on, get ready and hit the live button 30 seconds to a minute early. Also, make sure that you tell people early on. So as soon as people arrive, thank them for coming. Like, they didn't have to turn up to your live stream. So thank them for coming. Introduce yourself and say pretty early on what they're going to get value for wise from this, because people are still busy and people will jump off very early if they think that you're just going to be selling. So any time at all, do not be selling. Do not be saying, sign up to this, pay for that. People are not here. They just want value. If you give value, they will stay. So give that carrot dangler and say, what am I going to be sharing with you today? And also make sure that people can jump on and off your live stream at any which point. So you will have possibly noticed this afternoon that I haven't said just at the beginning, hi, my name's Lindsay, and this is me. I've done it a couple of times this afternoon, and you can either just do it automatically a couple of times, or when people are jumping on and off. So if you see a bit of a spike in your numbers, make sure just to introduce yourself again, tell people what they've covered, and thank them for joining. And also, this is really important. This is not just a Lindsay show. It's about them. So make sure you're asking them questions, because the thing is with live streaming, people want to interact. That's one of the reasons why they're watching here. They really want to ask you questions. They really want to interact with you. If they wanted to just listen to you saying something, they could have just signed up to a webinar. So make sure you do participate with people, and bring context to it. Something else during the live streaming is look at the camera. Don't look at yourself. So I can see myself here, and I don't want to look at myself anyway. I can see myself any day of the week, and my grey hair and how bad my makeup is. But it's important that if you want to engage with people, you need to look at your camera. So make sure you're looking up at the camera here, and people know that you're going to be looking down at notes and looking at chat. They realize that. But if you can look at the camera and engage with people, it's much more like having a conversation. And that's what live streaming is all about. And make sure you're taking questions, which I've done this afternoon. Practicing. But make sure that sometimes if you get a lot of questions, and I haven't got a huge amount this afternoon, so you guys are making it easier for me, is if you suddenly get a bombardment of questions, it can mean you're jumping around quite a lot and your answers are quite, jumpy. So try and make it flow as much as possible. So you are having to juggle a lot. You're trying to think about the time. You're trying to think about how many people are turning up. You're trying to think, I need to look at the camera, trying to look at my notes, trying to engage with people. It's a lot of, you need to have your headspace in the right place. And that's why I said, jumping off any tech 30 minutes to 15 minutes beforehand is really good. The last thing to do during is make sure that you're adding value, as I've touched on, but make sure you're giving them a call to action. So even if it is a free live stream this afternoon, which absolutely, of course it is, make sure you tell them what to do. So if they enjoy something, tell them to go to our newsletter, which I've shared with you this afternoon. Give them some directions to go. So in terms of what they can do with things, they know that next stage, or if they're happy with what they've had covered this afternoon, then that's great as well. And then last of all, make sure afterwards that you look at your stats. So have a look and see, have people gone on to watch your live stream afterwards? Because although your live stream is here, it will be on my YouTube afterwards. So if people want to watch the one that I did about a month ago, you can still go on and watch it. It says it was a live stream, and obviously you can't ask questions, but people can watch it. So after today, I'll probably have a look later today or tomorrow, and I'll have a look at my stats and see, how engaging it was, what types of questions people were asking. And it might be that through the questions that you've asked today or the stats that you've made today, it might be that there's some other content that you can create as live streaming. So if there's any things that I haven't covered this afternoon and you guys have been reading on live streaming, or you've given it a go yourselves, please share them in the chat right now. But thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. The other thing to do afterwards is be critical. But again, not from yourself. Ask anyone that's watched. If you know people that are watching you this afternoon, reach out to them and say, what were you expecting? What did you get? And do you think I gave it? Or do you think there's anything else I could have done? So it's not about, again, how I look. It's not about me at all. It's about the context and the context to what I'm sharing with you this afternoon? And did I basically deliver what I said on the tin? And finally, give yourselves a blooming big pat on the back, because live streaming is nerve-wracking. I'm 40, and there's a lot of older people that are feeling quite nerve-wracking about going live, where there's the younger generation that just go live all the time, and people are like, I don't get it. There's a platform I haven't mentioned this afternoon, and go and have a look just to put some context onto this. It's called Twitch. It's Twitch, and it's a live streaming service, a subsidiary of Amazon, and it's literally just people watching people doing things. So I went on there this afternoon, and went on there this morning. There's a guy DJing, there's a lady walking to work, there's they're not teaching you how to do things, they're just bringing you into their life. And you might think, why on earth would people want to do that? But again, we just, we're human beings, we're nosy, and we like to know what other people are up to, and we just want to see the outside world, and now more than ever before. A good question from somebody, Bruce. One question he has said, when I present live, I have been told to minimize my mannerisms. Should I apply that when live streaming? Interesting question, Bruce. In terms of mannerisms, I would suggest being yourself. The thing with live streaming and with anything, it's about people buy you for being yourself. So you obviously need to be polite to people. You obviously need to, think about what you're saying and be professional. But people are buying you. They sign up to the live stream today because they might have already heard or seen something from me. So it's about really bringing it to life and being not less professional, but just more human. So being more of yourself, being more, you do need to articulate, you do need to be over the top, because you can't really harness that traditional face-to-face relationship that you do have online. So you do have to accentuate things, you do have to go over the top a little bit more. So I use my hands now more than I ever before. I have to remember to smile, I have to remember to talk slowly, but some of the things I would do traditionally on stage and some things I wouldn't. So just really think about, get someone else to watch it, Bruce, would be my suggestion. Do what you normally do, get someone else to watch it. And if you want me to have a look at it, Bruce, more than happy, just drop me an email, lindsay@socialbee.co.uk, and I'll be more than happy to give you some critical feedback. And I welcome critical feedback from you as well in terms of how you're finding our live streaming this afternoon. So we're going to just wrap up now. If anyone has any questions or queries that I haven't covered, or one burning piece of information you think, no, I'm not ready for this, Lindsay, what is going to make you ready? Like, what is going to make you take that first step to going live online? What is it that you think is stopping you at the moment? If you want to drop that question in the chat, I'll be more than happy to try and overcome your nervousness about doing it. Mine was, and more happy to share mine was just worrying about people turning up and worrying about talking to screen. And for those of you that follow me, you'll know I do webinars and I do talks all the time, but it's just something different. We get used to talking on stage, we get used to doing webinars, but it's just something a bit different. And we're creatures of habit. We like what we like and we don't like what we don't like, because we don't know those differences. So if you've got any questions, please drop them in to live chat. Oh, good question. Now starting to get some questions. John, what are your thoughts on using the dreaded PowerPoint slides when live streaming? I don't see them as a dreaded thing. I think subject to what you're doing, if you're educating people or trying to share something, the neuro-linguistic side of me would say sometimes it's useful, because there are some great, experienced people on the chat today. And again, if you've heard any of my stuff recently, if you're only doing blog content, as an example, you're only tapping in to 1/3 of your audience, because some people like to read, some people like to watch, some people like to listen. So I could have done some PowerPoint slides today, John, but I thought, if I'm clear and concise, then maybe not. But if anybody wants a copy of my notes, more than happy to drop them over. But I think if it's quite technical, or if you really want to resonate with people, there is no harm in sharing PowerPoint or sharing how to do something. Someone I really look up to is Pat Flynn. He's worth a Google and watching some of his live stream. He does a lot of live streaming, and he will flit between video stuff like this and doing PowerPoint and doing how-tos. But I mean, he's been doing live streaming for years, and he was very nervous about it. So what I do is I scroll back to people's first YouTube live stream, watch it, I watch where they've got to, and they've only done that through practice. So for those of you that have just joined us, we're going through some questions. If you've missed anything today, this will be on our YouTube channel afterwards, but I'm now just taking questions to help wrap up the session. Jonathan, I have inspired you to go live on YouTube. Fantastic. Let me know when it is. I would love to join you. Steve has asked a good question. What is your view on green screens? Good question, Steve. There are some fantastic tools out there where you can have, basically, for those of you that don't know, a green screen is where you can have any color. You basically, one of my fantastic colleagues is doing it at the moment. So Ollie does a lot of DJing, and he basically puts up a white sheet behind him, and then you use a bit of technology, which means you can adapt your background. I think it's good, and I think there's a time and a place for it, but don't let that digest away from you or distract you from actually the content. It's about the content and the value you're delivering, not the background, if that makes sense. So hopefully it doesn't matter that I've got all these books in this plant here. I'm still giving you value. So I think there is a place for it, but it's about the context of what you're delivering, not how professional it looks. There are some great green screens that you can download. There's some ones that BBC are downloading. So whether you can do it on Zoom or live streaming, you can have some pretty cool, backgrounds at the moment. Any last questions? If you've got any last questions whatsoever, please let me know. If you have any questions after today, I'll be delighted to take them. Like I said, if you've found today's content useful, please jump over to socialbee.co.uk/newsletter. Or if you want me, give me some critical feedback. Always happy to take it. I want to try and deliver as much value to you guys as possible. My email is Lynsey, Lynsey @socialbee.co.uk. If you want me to look at something, more than happy. Or if you want to have a question around something, more than happy as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this afternoon session. It's already 31 minutes past. I have no idea where today has gone and our free live streaming, but I hope you've enjoyed it. We've covered an awful lot. Like I said, if any of you would like a copy of my notes, please drop me an email. Happy to drop them over to you. And I hope I've inspired you all and helped you to just take those first steps on live streaming. It does seem scary, but go through the things I shared with you this afternoon. Practice, prepare, think about the equipment you need, think about what channel you want to do it on, and just think value. And don't forget, the key thing that I thought about was, we're always worried about, are we going to share something that's useful for somebody? But in your sector, you are the expert in your sector, and people that look to buy from you or sign up to you, they want to learn, and they don't know what you're not going to share with them this afternoon. They only know what you share with them. So people are always willing to learn. They're not here to trip you over. They're just here to learn. So the more you can give away in terms of value, it will increase your awareness because people get notifications, and it will help you in business. So the more value you can give, the more you will get business and valuable business from people. So thank you so much for this afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been fantastic to see so many of you. Lots of people I know, which is fantastic. So thank you, John. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Steve, Simon. Thank you, Ollie. Lots of lovely people. So thank you so much for this afternoon. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. And if any of you have any ideas that you'd like me to cover on live stream, again, please drop me an email. Would love to be able to cover them for you. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.